Okay, awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and get started, and we might have a couple more people hop on, and we'll just let them in and have them jump in. But welcome to tonight's presentation. My name is Amy Jefferson. I am the Trauma Informed Care Network Program Coordinator. Happy to be here. Happy to see everyone tonight. And for our presentation tonight, we have, yeah, you go by Yazzie, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. We have Yazzie presenting for us on a presentation from Overdrive to Regulation, an IFS and Somatic perspective on burnout. So I think this is a much needed topic in today's world with current events. So I'm super excited. A couple small things just about TICN and CEU. So Trauma Informed Care Network was founded in 2013. And really, our mission is just around expanding awareness and education and networking for providers and community members that are interested in trauma-informed care, anything having to do with trauma or resilience and the healing from it. So that's kind of our mission. Um, for CEUs, if you are interested in a CEU, I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you will just email this email, it's ticnutah@gmail.com. But you can just email this email address and ask for a CEU, and I'll be happy to send that to you. I can also send you a copy of the recording as well. And then one other ask is if everyone can put their first and last name in the chat, just for so we have record of attendance. But yeah, let's go ahead. Are there any questions on any of that kind of housekeeping items?
Mhm. Nope.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will go ahead and introduce our speaker today. So give me one second. Let me get this pulled up. Yes. So Yazzie Kish, how do I pronounce your last name?
Keshavarz.
Keshavarz.
Yeah.
Yassi Keshavarz is an LCSW, and she is a trauma therapist and founder of Aria Mental Health Counseling in California. She specializes in working with complex trauma, dissociation, chronic illness, and medical trauma, integrating approaches such as internal family systems, EMDR, and somatic psychotherapy. Yazzie works extensively with high-performing professionals, including medical and mental health providers, engineers, and attorneys who experience chronic stress and burnout. She is also passionate about supporting individuals from collective cultures, including immigrants, second generation, and refugees, bringing culturally attuned, body-based healing into her work. And with no further ado, Yazzie, I will turn the time over to you.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's so lovely to be here. Welcome, everyone. As she said, I'm Yassi. I am here in Sacramento, the heat of the California here now, but I lived in Utah for 12 years. So I'm very excited to be with you guys. As she said, we're going to go over burnout, something that we all probably have experienced somehow in our life or at some point. But today we're going to go over a little beyond what cognitively we know about burnout and look at what the limbic system and the stem part of our brain or somatic will present at burnout because many of you probably like you know what you needed, but you still felt unable to do it, right? Or you felt kind of felt rested but didn't feel like restored, or you felt like guilty for slowing down, or you knew you need to take rest or you need to work a little less, but it never felt like it felt sense. It's didn't feel like it's truly our body is rested. So we're going to go over these type of what we call the bottom up type treatments today, and see if it helps your guys to understand what's happening more on the unconscious mind and in our bodies. So Their objectives today is going to be understanding burnout through internal family system or IFS. I'm going to go over that, and you probably heard of it a lot, but I'm just going to briefly describe it and explain what happens through that lens in our body and mind. Kind of recognize somatic signs of chronic overfunctioning, identifying protective manager dynamics, and then understand the role of body and nervous system in burnout, and learning kind of practical interventions. I realize my mouse probably is very in the middle. So if you guys just put in the chat of just what kind of role you have, if you're like a caretaker or homemaker, a therapist, and any sort of jobs you have, that would be lovely to kind of know. And just saying very briefly, if you've ever really felt that no matter what you've tried, that you really felt that burnout and nothing was working. Trying to look at the chat too. Oh, we have many therapists here. Oh, great. Okay, perfect. Um, Let me close this. Wonderful. Okay, so what we usually hear about burnout is just kind of let's work less, set boundaries, kind of practice self-care. Let's manage our time better. Let's be more efficient and kind of take on vacations. These are things that we hear that are not necessarily wrong. It's just sometimes they don't work. Like knowing it does not necessarily help us. So maybe it's better question is why can't I slow down? What is making slowing down feel unsafe for me? So we're going to go over what burnout looked like through the lens of IFS. Since there are many therapists here, I'm really assuming many of you already know what IFS is, but I still like go over it just very briefly. It stands for Internal Family System. It was developed by Richard Schwartz. It's a non-pathologizing model of the mind, and that it believes it's a type of ego state therapy where they believe of different having multiple personalities, not DID, but just we all have these different personalities and parts. So in IFS, they also believe that we have multiplicity of the mind, and it's very natural. We all have them. Parts are not the problem, they're just trying to help us. And the problem is just they're so burdened that they show up in sometimes ineffective and unhealthy ways. And at our core and our essence of us as human, we have the self with capital S, which is the compassionate, curious, connected, and many other C's that I'm going to go over, but the leader within us. And we use a metaphor in IFS, we call it the symphony conductor. That self doesn't need to like play any instruments, doesn't need to do things necessarily, but it can bring a lot of harmony between the parts. We don't want the piano to just play on its own, be so off the note and just do whatever it wants, and then guitar play on the other side, which happens a lot in the burden system, especially with complex trauma and dissociative disorders that I work a lot. But self can really bring that harmony to them. And sometimes the self needs to say, piano, it's time for you to play a little bit more, but it can just really help them get unburdened and bring that harmony. So, as I said, it says that we are not just like one personality. We are multiple parts, and you probably watched the Inside Out cartoon. Highly recommended, especially two. It really kind of shows, it is based on IFS. They got their idea from IFS, but they really believe that, I mean, it shows really well of various different parts that we have, various different emotions that we have, and how each one of them have their own perspective, have their own emotions. Like, as you saw, joy was sad too. Like they can have their own emotions, belief system, perspectives, and each one try to help in their own way. But the problem is sometimes they're so polarized and they work kind of against each other. So we have three different kinds of parts. So we have the managers, which their motto is never again. So they never want to experience what the basically exile part experience. They don't ever want to experience the shame and the hurt and sense of unworthiness and constant criticize. So the way they show up is by being very proactive. They keep our life running, they kind of prevent problems, and they strive for control and success. They're almost, sometimes they're 24 hours available. They're always present, they're constantly running. Then we have the firefighter types that those are the one their motto is when all fails. Just like a firefighter that doesn't care if they break a window or door, they just come to shut down the fire. They come no matter what kind of consequence it has, and they try to shut down everything. If the manager's overworked and it overwhelmed the system, they just come and immediately shut down. And I'm going to go over more examples of them, but they are more reactive. They try to stop the pain immediately. They act impulsively. They kind of avoid, numb, and shut us down. And then poor exiles, as the name says, they are pushed away completely. They carry a lot of pain. They carry the traumas and burdens. Um, they feel vulnerable, they are hurt, they carry a lot of wounds, and they are really hidden away. Sometimes they kind of leak out and show up sometimes, but the systems and the managers and firefighters, those protectors, really try to push them away as hard as they can, and that's why they're called exile. So when we think about burnout, we often assume it's just simply a result of working too much. But from the IFS and trauma-informed perspective, burnout can represent something much deeper. So first, basically, it might reflect that protective, over-functioning part of us are too activated, right? Many of the people who burn out are not lacking motivation or resilience. They feel like they're losing their motivation sometimes, but it's not that it's lacking. In fact, they're just often very capable. Their manager parts have learned to stay just like very productive, very responsible, very vigilant. And because these are strategies that once helped them really survive, belong, or kind of avoid criticize. And second is that burnout can involve chronic self-abandonment. We chronically can deny the needs of our body, our emotions, and our nervous system. We are constantly repeatedly dismiss them so that we can achieve and care give and maintain stability in our life. So over time, a person may become very skilled at meeting everybody else's needs while losing their touch with their own. And then finally, burnout can be understood as the survival adaptation. Many protective strategies that were developed in environments where slowing down wasn't safe, mistakes had consequences, or worth was tied to performance, we learned that to be this overactive, overproductive people. So the problem is that these strategies often continue long after the original circumstances needed them. And the brain and our parts often they don't understand time have passed and that it's changed or I'm at this age. They still survive and they still work based on the needs of the past. So sometimes when I feel like really overwhelmed, let's say, as an example, I kind of go within and check is like, how old do I feel right now? And surprising, I've done a lot of work with my parts, but in the past I could really notice it's just, I feel like a teenager right now. Like I am not my adult self. So And as we do work with the clients too and with their parts, many times they just have no understanding of how much time have passed. So the thing that was once adaptive, it become costly for us. And the system keeps running, the same survival program keeps going, even when there is no danger and there's no longer present. So burnout is often not evidence that the system is broken. It's an evidence that the system has been working very hard for a very long time based on past burdens. So here I have a reflective question. You don't have to answer it, but just I wonder how many of you can think of a time when your productivity was actually driven by fear rather than by choice. Again, you don't need to answer that or put anything in the chat, but just like take a moment and reflect on it. I know it's just like a little disclosure. So I came here about September, going to be 16 years, actually 15. Yeah, 15 years. And so for the longest time, and I came as a former refugee. I am from Iran, and I grew up as a non-Muslim, so a lot of persecution. So anyway, it got to the point like I came with my husband at that time. I mean, he's still my husband, but we just like came here, and then for the longest time, I truly felt I'm in this survival, even though I felt a lot safer. So many things changed for me, but from this financial goal, from this survival, going to school, making it, being able to deal with being an ESL person, English as a second language, it was for the longest time, I just kept running and running and running to make sure a lot of the pain from the past of the things that I was deprived from, like higher education or many other things, or just basic citizenship rights, that I can compensate for that. So we all can find some sort of examples in our lives that we are seen very successful, very productive, very overachieving, and but it's coming somewhere from some sort of a fear or scarcity from the past. So let's meet the managers. What are the examples of manager? I kind of mentioned, but as I said, their motto is never again. They are constantly working to never feel the past wounds or past pain. So they can be the overachiever, the perfectionist, the responsible one, the caretaker, the performer, the hyper independent one, sometimes even anxiety. And their kind of belief system on the unconscious mind is if I stop, everything will fall apart. If I perform, I will be accepted. If I stay productive, I will stay safe. So I want you to just take a moment and really see, kind of think of the patterns you have, because we're going to have an exercise, and it would be good to kind of find that if you have a tendency of perfectionism, if you have a very high caretaker tendencies, or performer, or just very hyper independent one. So take a look, pause for a moment. And as you're pausing, I really want to apologize. It's summer. My husband is at work, so I just like ordered some food. I'm just gonna grab it and then hand it to them, and I'll be back in just 10 seconds. Sorry about that. Amy, is there any questions so far or comments?
I
You
have
can,
not seen any questions. And I believe you said you would take questions at the end, or if they had a question
yeah,
for
I
you,
will
they could
take.
just throw it
Yeah.
at the chat. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to say it's, but yes, if you have questions, just feel free to put it in chat and Amy will read them to me. Or at the very end, you can just ask questions. You can even just unmute yourself and ask. So feel free to interrupt me. But as you just pause and look, we're going to work on those parts in an example, but I'm going to keep going. So, what is a hidden fear beneath this projectivity? It's sometimes shame, rejection, failure, hopelessness, vulnerability, dependency, abandonment. All of these can be underneath, which are some of the emotions and pain that the exile parts carry. So here's the cycle, the burnout cycle. So at the very top, you can see the fear, maybe exile, really feel a deep feeling of unworthiness, inadequacy, not being enough, not feeling safe. So when it's deep down there, then the managers have to overwork. I must do more, be more, achieve more to kind of prevent the sense of pain or failure. But because they overwork so much, then the body starts distressing. So kind of builds up in the body, fatigue comes, tension, overwhelm, anxiety, and all these like panic even. Many physical symptoms might be even start coming, but it just kind of, you can see, you can feel it in the body too. Then the firefighter part comes and it's like, I have the solution and I can immediately shut it down. So it kind of get distracted, zone out, they want to escape, numb, soothe, or shut down. So we can binge watch, binge eat, binge drink, binge scrolling over social media, zoning out kind of like you might be at the middle of work and you feel like you people are talking but you can't even hear them. Even like in the middle of sessions, you might feel like that, that you're just your body is so exhausted that just a firefighter part-time is like comes and it's like, oh, I'll take you somewhere else. You don't need to even hear what is being said. But then kind of criticize manager part sometimes show up immediately and it's like I shouldn't waste time, I shouldn't act like this, I shouldn't eat too much, I shouldn't even like sometimes it's like exercising so intensely that could be a firefighter, or I need to move my body, that could be the opposite if the firefighter wants to just freeze and just lie down on the couch. So it just says I need to do more, I need to do more, I need to work harder. So then again managers start working more, double down to kind of prove themselves and avoid the sense of fear and shame. And that cycle starts and go back in that vicious cycle. So, yeah, I'm sure you all know about the window of tolerance. So I'm not going to go over it too much, but I really like to explain how it just like fits with the IFS models. So as you know, we have the window of tolerance where sometimes, especially with, again, with clients with or people with complex PTSD with a lot of trauma history, their window of tolerance is so small, like very, very small. And where that window is where we feel calm, collected, connected to ourselves, feel safe, or kind of chill even. But then there are moments that nervous system goes to hyper aroused where we get so anxious. I see them as type of a energy type level sensations that angry, out of control, overwhelmed, substance uses, fight or run away. And it you can probably see like the in the sympathetic nervous system, which are here. Many people complain about neck or shoulders or shoulder blades pain, or they just like hold them so tight. And when it works too much, then the nervous system has to bring some sort of a balance, but in their balance way is like complete shutdown and complete going to hyper aroused, which is spacey, zone out, again, numb, frozen, all of that. So manager type parts usually are in this sympathetic nervous system. They are too activated. They have a lot of energy, but the nervous system and the body can't take it, right? So firefighter type parts come and they try to dissociate, zone out, and go to this autopilot, and we go completely into this shutdown. But firefighters can be kind of in both ways. They can be hyper aroused or can be hypo aroused. And then comes the window of tolerance based on polyvagal theory. We have the vagal nerve here that I'm going to go over just a couple of exercises that you can help. And when vagal nerve get activated, the sympathetic and dorsal can start calming down too. And that's where we can also access our self energy more, where we can feel more calm and collected and compassionate too toward ourselves and other people. So just again, briefly, hyperaroused, easily startled, mind racing, agitated, decreased appetite, insomnia, shallow breathing, difficulty concentrating, rapid heartbeat, nervousness, chest pain, anxiety, and then easily started, like as I said. And then hypoaroused is depersonalization can happen there. So some people feel like completely disoriented. They don't know where they are, who they are. Sometimes they even see themselves out of their bodies. A lot of dissociation might happen, zoning out, foggy, low motivation, fatigue, kind of confused. They don't like to move or exercise, and they're basically very lethargic. And there comes the self, where these are all the eight. I can't see my mouse, but I think that it's showing the self, right? Amy, is it pointing at the self? Okay. So
Yeah.
it's Richard Schwartz love to just make these acronyms. So it believes in eight C's and five P's of the self, but the eight C's are calm, curiosity, clarity, compassion, confident, creativity, and connectedness. And I kind of see it, and in IFS they say it, so it's like a spectrum. So in one side is complete feeling self energy. And I've done so much work and unburdening on my parts. And I can say like we cannot be in that state all the time or like feel it even often. So for example, I was getting a massage. I even invited all my parts. I did some kind of in my head ego state meeting place technique. I invited all of them around the campfire, just appreciated all the things they've done for me. And it just like truly feeling all these aspects of energy in me, like feeling extremely calm, so much gratitude toward the parts and my system, feeling very confident and courageous, all of that. But that's like one side of the continuum, but we're not going to feel it on a daily basis. And then this side of the continuum is where we're blended, where parts exist, they just run the show. And again, back again with the complex PTSD and dissociation, as if like they're the driver now. They just kick everybody out in the back seat and they start driving. They don't care. And many of them are like very young, so they don't know how to drive. But self-leadership is somewhere in the middle of that continuum that we just want to be able to have it more. That sometimes we're a little more blended with parts, and sometimes you feel the self energy more, but somewhere in the middle, that self can constantly connect with parts and help them feel more regulated, take on their burdens, and say, I'm here with you, you're not alone. So it makes a huge difference. But again, based on the um, polyvagal theory is that vagal nerve can help us get to the self energy more. So one of the, as you see down here, some of the ways to activate our vagal nerve is kind of slow breathing from our tummy. You all know it. You heard about it too. And then the other one is when you breathe and you want to take an exhale, you can hum or you can chant or you can sing. So for example, or just singing. And you can feel a vibration here, and it helps the vagal nerve get activated. Sometimes putting cold water on our face or here in the neck and shoulders where the sympathetic nervous system gets so activated can help. Kind of gentle movements, whether you're interested in yoga or dance. I use Middle Eastern dance with my clients a lot. So, as I said, shoulders is that place. So if we are activated, we hold them very tight. If we are in this frozen state, they usually drop down. So one thing in sensorimotor psychotherapy, Pat Ogden always talks about is imagine there's a string that is holding you and holding the neck and spine and stretch it, but not making it too stiff. You can just feel it, and it helps people get out of that frozen or dissociative state or that parasympathetic, oh sorry, sympathetic nervous that is like too activation. The other piece is I went through a training via sensorimotor psychotherapy, and there was this amazing trainer using dance, but the whole time she was talking about shoulders, just like how much shoulders and movement in shoulders can really help. So some of the things I do with clients is just like really help them feel like, can you bring your arms up, right? And then even just like kind of belly dance, they can move their arms, they can just go forward and backward, especially when we are in that state of overwhelm or activation. It helps a lot. So if I have time between sessions, I do some of the shoulder movements. And let's say, because I do a lot with complex trauma and dissociation, is I hear a lot of horrible stories. So part of it is parts of me feel extremely angry from people that done things to kids. And it's extremely painful, even for me, right? I hear it all the time. So one of the things I do is just I put my hands over on the wall and push as hard as I can so I can feel the tension all in the shoulders and the shoulder blade, like using all my strength. The other piece in trauma treatment we use is the body holds on to that unfinished movements that they weren't able to do at the time of trauma. So part of it is being able to, let's say, I wanted to push him away. I wanted to like be able to push and run away. So I asked them to push the wall as hard as they can until they get sweaty, like until really they feel they let the body release it. But it doesn't have to be to treat the trauma. It can be just on a daily basis, doing things to just help the body activate the nervous system, sorry, the vagal nerve, and then help the sympathetic nervous system too. The other one is like rocking. In SP, they use that a lot too in sensory psychotherapy. It's just some sort of a rocking. They use blanket a lot too, like putting a blanket on you, like helping noticing the sense of kind of heaviness, but then also the softness of the blanket. Connection and then eye contact can really be helpful for our vagal nerve.
Want to ban it. Why are Democrats pushing for that in a separate ICE funding bill? The answer is actually simple because they can, especially.
I think, is that good now? I got muted too. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one is time in nature. So being able to just, if you have time, like getting, as you know, sun gazing can be extremely helpful. But many times I just have to be stuck in this office for many hours. So I just look at the window, look at the just how the clouds are passing through, how the trees are moving. They can be very helpful too. And a safe touch, hugs, massage, self-touch, and just like even rubbing. Many times when I work with my clients and we're working on an exile and a young part, they automatically do this when they have some sort of a self energy. They just like as if they're hugging that younger part too. Any questions so far? Okay. So in chronic mobilization, what happens when just managers override our body signals? So we push through fatigue, we ignore hunger, we ignore pain, we can ignore illnesses, and especially as Like many moms do that a lot. They have to many times that they're just anyone in the caretaker role that no matter how much they get sick, they still have to be there for other people. Then here's when the body whispers, which is before screaming. So when it whispers, as I said, tight shoulders come, sense of irritability, fatigue, digestive issues, a sense of wanting to run in your legs. You might feel very fidgety in the legs. But when it screams, it panics, it collapses, it goes to depression. Medical symptoms start showing up like IBS, chronic nausea, migraine, sudden sense of paralyzed. And I see that all the time with my clients too. So again, loss of interoception is like many high functioning professionals, they lose access to their hunger if they are full, so they overeat, exhaustion, tension, emotional state. And yeah, so these are just a few examples I can think of. But I want you to think of the last time that you notice your body's need before they become urgent. Again, just more like a self-reflection. You probably many times noticed that I completely forgot my lunch. I didn't even notice that. Or I didn't even get off the computer and look away. I'm like staring at this computer for hours and hours. So here's what I love a lot. I hope you enjoy it too. We're gonna do some exercise and kind of meeting your burnout manager. As I said earlier, kind of think about the parts of you that just hold on to either sense of perfectionism, overachieving, yeah, just like doing too much, caretaking for others, anything you can think of. And I'm going to bring up the example of manager so you have a little clue. Here, high performing, hyper independent ones. So we're going to do it in different ways, and you get to choose how you want to do it. You can just close your eyes and kind of meditate and go within, or you can use an object and just imagine it if it was that part as a representation of the part. You can write some just like bullet points on a piece of paper, or you can draw the part. So when I do meeting places, let me see if I can find an example. Can't find any one right now. Oh, so my daughter went and drew on it. But this, like back in January, you might have heard, but a lot was going on in Iran. Still a lot is going on. I'm from Iran, and my family, everybody lives there. And so, as you probably know, the government, people came out and the government attacked. So we lost so many lives. And so I just felt like really overwhelmed, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly what's going on until I started drawing them. And again, they are completely ruined by her drawing. But like there was, for example, I drew a part that just wanted to scroll over the phone and just watch the news all the time. Then there was a part that wanted to be an advocate and really speak up, post the stuff or whatever they can. There was a part that felt very angry in my eyes that if I were to take my eyes away from the news or just wanted to give myself some rest, would say, people get shot in their eyes. How dare you like wanting space for yourself? And then there was a part that was feeling so anxious. And then I drew the sun so that it can be with the parts. So I know this is like a little extreme, but just find one part since we're working on the burnout, one part of you, that could be even a firefighter part types. I would recommend not working on the exile today, like inviting shame or hurt or any sort of inner child. I would recommend doing it with a therapist, but today you can just start looking internally at what feels like one of your manager parts. That would be better. If not, you can do one of the firefighters. So, for example, if you suddenly go to shutdown or binge watch or whatever, you can just talk about them. So, we're gonna start by just first taking a deep breath in and then really slowly let it out. And notice as you are just getting a little bit more centered with your breath, notice the state of your body, like the way your body is making contact with the chair, your feet making contact with the floor. And if you feel just a little bit more centered and focused, let's invite that part of you to join. You might find a very specific image of the part, but sometimes parts don't come with images. My parts, I'm very good with imagery stuff, so my parts come with a lot of images. Richard Schwartz never see his parts, the founder. So it doesn't have to be any specific things or any specific way, but just invite that in. You can even write down what you kind of notice about this part, let's say perfectionism. And see how it feels just in your body as you call that part. You might feel it in your body or around your body. Or if you use an object, just notice as it's close to you, as you're holding it, how does it feel internally, noticing this part? Then slowly you can start asking some questions. Like, what is your job for me? Or what's your role? What are you trying to protect me from? Just kind of either jot down or memorize what it's telling you. What are you afraid would happen if you stopped working this hard? And as you're slowly getting to know it more, you can ask, how long have you been doing this job for me? And then, as you're getting more information from the part, maybe you can even check if there is any image of the part, if it's willing to show itself to you. Or you can even ask, is there a name that it likes to be referred as? So you might have had it in your mind that I'm working with my perfectionist part, but the part might not want to be called that. So check with the part if there is a specific name that it prefers to be referred as. It might even just come up with a name like Yassi or call me Jasmine. checking with yourself. How do you feel toward that part? And 1 to 7, 7 being the highest, kind of check in with your self energy. How much curiosity do you have toward this part? To get to know it more. Is there a sense of compassion and care for this part? Is there a sense of understanding on all the work it's been doing for you? And see if you can connect more, if you can physically get closer to that part. Ask the part to look you in your eyes, and you look at the part in their eyes. Notice your internal state, notice your body, how it feels in this self to part relationship, in this self energy. And then if you have any of these characteristics of the self, maybe show it to the part. Maybe showing some appreciation to the part. If there are any sort of sense of agenda to fix it or change it, or if there's any sense of judgment or reactivity toward that, notice these are other parts of you reacting to that part. And you can gently and calmly notice them and ask them to sit beside you. They don't have to go anywhere. They're just sitting beside, giving you space to be with that part more. And see within that connection, within that physical closeness to the part, you might want to hug the part. The part might want a hug. It might show you how exhausted it is to work all these years. It might just want you to hold her hands or hold their hands and look them in their eyes. And now, invite the part to just allow you to be with them. They don't have to do this job always alone. They have the self. And sometimes I use this metaphor that you don't have to always be the driver. You can let me, the adult self, to be the driver, and you can be right next to me, like the GPS, like the one that holds on to the map, knows really well where I need to go, what I need to do, which exit to take, rather than pulling the steering wheel away. We can be a collaborative work together. And again, notice if there are any changes in the way the part showed up. Their images started shifting, their affect started shifting. And maybe thanking the part for taking the time to show up and being with you. And then when you're ready, slowly bring your attention back to your body. Where you feel it, kind of settle down into your chair. Notice your feet. Notice kind of the temperature of the room, temperature of your body. And then slowly open your eyes or just orient yourself back here. So I don't want to push, but I would love to hear if people could share in the chat, or they can unmute themselves if they notice anything, if they really were able to work with that kind of manager, what kind of things they noticed. Again, no one have to.
I would say that I noticed, oh, hold on, sorry, my cat's on my computer. I noticed that I have in my relationship to the manager part, I have fear. I have like fear that I will be consumed by that manager part, and with that manager part comes some like distress when it is in charge.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Very insightful. So you notice like I have that manager, but then there's another part of you that is very afraid of the way this part can take over, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes we need to shift focus and be with that fear and just see what that fear want to say before we could be with those managers or any other parts. But there are usually some reasons. I always tell them, I'm sure there's a good reason for you to show up. So they might not give space. So then we make them the target part and talk to them and see what they like to share. And what are they afraid would happen if you weren't this afraid of this part,
Right.
right? And if we have any time at the end, I don't have too many slides left, but maybe if you wanted to volunteer, I can just do a little demo with you. If anybody else wanted to volunteer and get a little very short brief therapy, I'm happy to offer that and just work with the parts. Okay, and then let me know, Amy, if there were anything comes to the chat.
Okay, will do.
Okay. You might have heard this between the practice is just some of their common belief is that I'll fall behind, people will be disappointed, I'll become lazy, I'll lose control, I will feel emotions that I can't handle, so I have to always be present. One thing very interesting is in many of the professions, one of the big manager parts is the rational part. I forgot to mention that. The rational part can just like, and probably especially if you've done, let's say, cognitive behavioral therapy, or you just mostly use that with your clients, that constantly that rational part tries to run the show, try to analyze, understand what's going on with emotions, put the pieces of the puzzle together. But that is also a manager. That is also a part that tries to kind of push the other emotions away. You don't feel anything. Many of these people, when they come to therapy, they say, I can only feel my head. I don't feel anything down here. And they don't want to feel it. So when you get to work with them, and those intellectual part might not give space, so sometimes other parts come, and the person gets so itchy suddenly. If you ask, like, how do you feel in your body, or just get so fidgety, or dissociate from their body. But that's the other manager part I forgot to mention. So just basically, forced resilience is like what looks like strength may actually be chronic self-suppression. Let that simmer in. And so here's the cost of overfunctioning. From the emotional state, the numbness comes. We can become very negative. We can have a very negative aspect toward the world and people around us, a sense of irritability, and many more. But then from relational is withdrawal come, resentment, isolation, and then, of course, physical pain, fatigue, and illness. So in burnout and trauma can often teach us that rest is dangerous, needs are burdensome, we shouldn't have needs, and worth comes through performance. And just a little bit about cultural aspects. So in many of the collective cultures, people that I work a lot with, and especially in immigrants and former refugees population, many of them just really carry these messages that I need to be strong, It's just we can't complain. Um, we have to sacrifice for other people, and we need to work harder and harder. And these belief and those called we in IFS we call them cultural burdens. And many of you can it can be just like a family culture. It doesn't have to be necessarily this bigger culture, but they've reinforced our manager strategies and they keep doing that. So then moving towards self-leadership. So maybe instead of saying, how do I make myself keep going, is what is my system protecting me from? What does it need? And maybe instead of thinking to sustain our regulation, instead of thinking I need more discipline, I need more routine, I have to do a mindfulness meditation at this time of the day or be more productive, maybe instead we can say, how can I have more relationship with my internal system? So I'll give an example of how I do it. I'm a busy mom of two little kids, and then I have my own private practice, which is full time. So I just don't have time for like deep mindfulness meditation. But I am constantly mindful with one L. Don't we want the one L instead of double L of what's just happening internally for me. So um, as I said, if I can do a meditation, wonderful. But since I can't, I don't even get so fixated on, oh, is this a manager blending with me, or is it a firefighter, or is it an exile? Like, if I could do some drawing, if I could do some deeper understanding, if I could have a therapy session, get therapy for myself, wonderful. But on a daily basis, I just check how I'm feeling and how are they showing up, where in my body are showing up, right? So it might be a sudden sense of complete fatigue that I just cannot even move my body. I am exhausted, right? So I notice how it even feels in the body. I try to be with them, tolerate those sensations, especially some of the feelings like anxiety, but worse than that, the exile feelings like shame, because that's the hardest one, the sense of unworthiness. These feelings are so hard for us to tolerate that our system have learned to immediately move to something else, right? Either manager comes to help or a firefighter. But like really allowing myself to be with those sensations and how it feels without any sort of judgment and without any sort of agenda to get rid of them. If I am, I know I'm with other parts. So then I ask them to give me space. And then I just, again, be with my body. So if I am, so one of the things I notice in sessions I do, if it's like getting a little tense, I go forward a lot and I push my neck forward and all these muscles start hurting a lot. So I constantly notice my state of body. Imagine that string holding my spine, stretching it. I open up my arms a lot. I let them move around. Um, Again, I told you about the other stuff that I do. And I use dancing and music every single day. Like my kids have learned that every day we're going to have loud music, jump around, move the body. I teach them a little bit belly dance. It's so fun and it really regulates the body. To be honest, it's not a part of being like judgmental about it, but one of my cultural shock when I came to the US was and went to parties, I was like, what happened to dance? Like, why is no one dancing? And it was just the lack of, not lack, but just like a lot less use of dance and movement um, and even music. So when I'm driving, I always listen to music. I sing with them. And it's just so helpful for our nervous system too. And with that being said, let's move to the Q&A. And just like noticing if there's any question, definitely ask. But also just if you wanted to share, what did you notice? What did your body communicate with you? Kind of if you was surprised of any sort of state that showed up for you. And That's it. So if you have any, oops, did I get out? If you have any sort of questions, please feel free. I can just stop actually the share. And someone put a comment there. I don't know what they were answering, if like they're talking about different manager parts, um, or just like the things they've done themselves. It's kind of says crime prevention specialist, court assistant, CEO, if a community center, and affordable housing. So as you can see, like, I don't know what they were necessarily referring, but many of us can like really over involve ourselves in so many things, and that also could come from our manager parts too.
That was me. It's Brandy. And I do even more than that. But
Oh,
it's because I've been successful at many things nationally and local. And so people come to me and ask me to help out. And so anyway, but no, my background is in criminal justice.
I see.
And so those are some of the things that I do. But when we were talking about that part is like I'm raising money to build a new community center.
Mhm,
And I have I have like a deadline to begin to
mhm.
build to break ground on January of 2028. And I'm like, oh, that it seems too soon because I don't have all the money raised. I need 25 million. And
Mm,
so, but I do have um, two people that are helping me raise the money and a capital campaign committee. But I'm just thinking,
yeah.
what will happen if I don't raise the money? And it's been a promise for the whole state and for all the elected officials, and it's just
Mhm.
it's a lot.
I'm sure I'm so glad you brought it up and you gave this example of just like so many things that you're very good at and you contribute to the community and for yourself and for others. And and that's, I think, the beauty of these protective parts that we have, that not only we need them, but the community needs them too. Other people needs them too, like a lot of
Right.
caretaker parts, right? That care about others. It's the hope is like we can have that a connection with them, notice their presence, notice the work they're doing for us and for other people. And as we show them compassion and care and understanding and this level of collaborative work, then it helps our body and our nervous system start calming down too, because we are more in a self-led relationship with them rather than only them feeling they're alone and they have to do all the work. So thank you so much, Brandy, for sharing. I appreciate that. And since we have about how much time do we have? Like maybe for like 20 minutes we can try. If anybody is volunteer, I'm happy to work on one of their parts. I know Amy volunteered, but uh, if anybody else is there, we can try with that too. Okay, so maybe it's you and I, Amy. Let's try it and see how that goes. We
Okay.
probably tried a session of like 20 minutes, but we're gonna make it work. So if others can turn off their videos so it can be just me and Amy so she feels like more connected with herself. Thank you so much. And Amy, was there any part that you noticed that you talked about the fear, right? That showed up toward and the reaction toward that manager part, right?
Yes.
Do you want to focus on the fear or do you want to like re-invite the manager part and see what comes up?
Let's re-invite a different manager part, I think.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so let's just go internally. And I think this demos really help others just see how they can be with their own parts too, without having to, and sometimes we don't have a therapist to always do it for us. So just go within and see if you can connect with your body. And then as you have that other manager in mind, let's invite that in and see how it shows up. And let me know when you feel the part in or around your body.
Okay.
Okay, what are you noticing?
I would say my heartbeat picked up just a little bit, and there's kind of just like a frenzied feeling to it.
Okay, okay, yeah. And as it's right there with you, can you just ask it if it can tell you if it has a message for you?
Mm. Well, I would say yes, it does have a message, but it's not a good one. So,
No. So you get to choose how much of it you want to share, but
okay.
yeah, just notice of it seems like it comes up with some sort of a message that might be strong or
Mhm.
um sometimes they even start swearing, whatever it is. Just
Mhm.
notice that message. But then ask, what is behind that message? What is it trying to do for you?
It's trying to help me succeed.
Help you succeed. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's trying to help ensure love.
Ensure love. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Those are big jobs.
Mhm.
And how long has it been doing this?
Oh gosh. I want to say ever since grade school.
Very, very young.
Mhm.
Yes. And so it seems like it said helping, but when it says like ensure love, it felt like a protective layer too, right? It seems like it's protecting you from
Mhm.
feeling the love, right?
Right. Well, it's trying. Yeah, it's
It's
trying to protect me
yes,
to
yes,
get love,
yes,
to be loved.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else it does for you?
It burns me out. But you mean like beneficial? Anything else beneficial that it
No,
does?
it's so there's like another part coming now. It says like it
Uh-huh.
burns me, like it's but just like checking with the part itself. You can just ask the other judgment, like if they can sit beside.
Mhm.
But just check with the part. Is there any other things, any other protection or help it's trying to do for you?
I mean, I would say it's trying to help me survive. Like in this part's mind, this is the key to like success is the key to survival.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, yes. Does that make sense to you as the part is talking?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such a, I mean, this is my judgment coming back up or another part coming back up, but it's just such an oxymoron because it like jeopardizes survival if it burns me out when it's in charge, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I get that too. Yes. Do you get the judgmental part? Do
Yes.
you get what it says?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you see if the judgmental part would be willing to sit beside and watch you being
Yeah.
with the part?
Mm.
Good. So go back again with that manager. It says it's survival. I need to succeed because it goes all the way deep down to sense of love, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
How do you feel toward it?
I think when we talk about like trying to ensure love, I think I feel compassionate for it and kind of like sad for it, I guess, that like it's had to be so vigilant for me for so many years to try to ensure that I'm
Yeah,
loved.
yeah, yeah. Wonderful. How about you just show that to the part?
Mm.
Show that compassion and see if you can even physically get closer to the part.
It's scary.
Oh, the part is scary?
No, it's scary to, I feel like it's scary to get physically close to the part.
Okay. Does it feel like it might take over?
Um, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Can you just notice that fear? See
Mhm.
where it's showing up in your body?
Mhm.
And let's welcome that part too. That's another part here with us.
Mhm.
What does that fear want to say?
It wants to say like you don't want to get too close to that part because when that part takes over, it causes distress. So it's kind of the same as the other manager part that I was talking
Yeah.
about.
No, makes sense. No, makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
So can I talk to the part directly?
Yes.
This is called direct access, just FYI, direct access in IFS. So I want to just tell that fear part. It makes so much sense to me that you feel like so scared to, if I get too close, then it gets too powerful. It takes over, right? But I want to say it's actually an anecdote of what the parts do. When we get close to them, when we let them be heard and seen, they actually start giving more space, allowing the self to, but if we can bring the self in. So I'm curious, would that be okay with you to just watch and see what happens? If you felt needed, you can jump right back in and say, nope, don't get too close. But for now, would you be willing to sit beside?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. Okay. Now go check back again with yourself. How do you feel toward that manager?
Less fearful.
You're still, oh,
No,
less fearful.
less
Less
fearful.
fearful. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
notice, you notice the body's changing too?
The
Like that
body
fear?
changed. It's more of
Yeah.
like, yeah, now it's just like I can neutrally sit with that. The manager part itself is overachiever. And so, but now
Over.
I can, yeah, now I can like neutrally sit with it in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the image of the part?
Um, I don't know if I had an image of it. Um, it's more of like a feeling. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
You were saying I'm sitting as if
Yeah.
next to it. I'm closer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see if the part is willing to look you in your eyes.
Mhm.
And again, it might be just a felt sense. It might be just an emotion. It might not be a very clear image, but it can feel like as if you're looking at each other.
Mhm. That feels even more vulnerable, I think, to like look it in the eyes, instead of just sitting beside me. I
Yes.
think that feels even more vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah. And notice that vulnerability. Where is that in your body?
Yeah. I want to say the fear creeps back in. Like if it gets
Mhm.
too vulnerable, the fear wants to come back in.
Yeah, yeah. Um, can I ask like how much the fear looks like, how big the fear looks like, how big that manager look like?
Hmm. Mm. Yeah, I think probably the fear is probably bigger than than this manager.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Again, does it afraid that if you look and be vulnerable to that part, something would happen?
Yes. Um, yeah, like the fear is also trying to protect me, like in order to help me survive as well. So I would say like the fear itself is another manager part,
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah. That could
Um,
be another, yes.
yeah.
And what does it afraid would happen if it gives a space just now? For like the, let's say the next 3 minutes. If it were to give space, what would happen?
Well, when you say it like that, it's only 3 minutes, then it's like, okay, it's okay to step
Yeah.
aside. Yeah.
Yes. Does the part like to do something like read a book, do a puzzle or something so that 3 minutes doesn't feel like eternity?
It sure can try.
Yeah, good,
Mhm.
good. Okay. So now go back to that manager. You were sitting next to it. We're
Mhm.
trying to see if you can make an eye contact. Can you go back and see if there is still a sense of compassion and care and even more curiosity toward this part?
There is now. Like now I can look it in the eye and I feel very like centered and calm
Calm,
through my
yes.
core. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah,
just, yeah, I am looking at it with, compassion.
yeah.
Mm.
And is there any fear that part has that if it wouldn't show up this way, something would happen?
That part doesn't want to show fear. That part is like the competent boss, right?
Mm.
Um, so I don't know if there's actually fear with for that part or
But
not.
I'm hearing is like there seems that I have to be always this competent and tough
Yes, yes,
person, right? Yeah,
right. Mhm.
yeah. Does that again make sense to you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Mhm.
So before we wrap up, and I want to keep my promise to that fear part that we're not going to spend too much time, but just see if there's anything you want to tell this achiever part.
Yeah, like it's okay to rest. And like achievement does not dictate your worth or your lovableness. Um, but I also want to thank it for how
Mhm.
far it has gotten me.
Mhm.
It has been useful at times, but I do not need it to drive, as you said.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You feel like it can be with you?
Yes, I feel
Mhm.
like it'll always be with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How's the part responding to you?
It's okay. Like it's not putting up arms. Um, I feel like it's known this, and this is definitely based on it needed to do this in the past. This is how I've protected myself in the past. But I think as I continue to cultivate self, I think it's honestly starting to trust me more.
Trust you more.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And for the last piece, it said that it's been with you since grade level.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how old is the part itself?
I want to say, I think I think it was second grade, and I didn't get an A on something, and I tore apart my report card. And I was just
Oh,
bawling in tears. So I'm going to say, however old children
feels
are when they're in second grade.
yeah,
Yeah,
like 8. Yes.
8.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now go back to that connection with the part.
Mm.
Ask the part, how old does the part feel you are today?
It feels like I am a teenager who can't take care of herself,
Yeah.
an adolescent teen.
Yes. And no wonder it has to work so hard to help you succeed and
Mhm.
feel love,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Can you now update the part of how old you really are?
Yes.
And maybe later you can give a tour of your house to the part.
Mhm.
Ask the part to look through your eyes, through your adult eyes, look around,
Mhm.
and just really let the update just show how much you've come.
Mhm.
You've come a long way.
Not 14 anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because I want to keep my promise too, let's go back to that fear part.
Okay.
Thank the part for giving space. And how does it feel like you were able to be with that part without that taking over?
Yeah, it feels good. Feels peaceful. Like I still think it's something that's new. Um, and so that's a little scary, but it's a lot better than it was. Like it allowed us space to get that vulnerable, I think, with that part. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so great. So maybe thanking all the parts for showing up. And then if they want, they can go to a peaceful place and have fun and enjoy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're going to the beach, the metaphorical
wonderful.
beach.
Wonderful. Okay. So if people want to hop back in or just leave in the chat or unmute themselves and share any thoughts or anything came up for them, because so when we teach IFS, is like one of the things we say is as observers, notice what happened in your system as she was with her parts. So if anybody wanted to share um, before we wrap up the day.
I just want to say thank you, Amy, for engaging that process. It was really wonderful to witness
Yeah,
both of you. Thank you.
of course.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Craig, Julian. Yeah, that can be scary
it
sometimes
is.
in front of an audience of people to do. So,
Yeah, I was going to commend your courage, but I didn't want to embarrass you or anything. But
oh,
yeah, very courageous.
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
So it was lovely having you guys. I hope you got something out of it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more within the IFS and within sensory motor psychotherapy or ego state that I use. Um, Feel free to contact me. I don't know if I need to. I mean, there probably my information is there or will be shared. If there's any questions. And yes, it was lovely having you all. Thanks for coming.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thank you. Just a reminder as we wrap up, if you're needing a CEU for this presentation, if you could please email the TICN Utah at gmail.com. I'll just put it in the chat one more time, TICN Utah at gmail.com. And then I did get a couple messages about slides. If you are interested in Yazi's slides, please email that ticnutah at gmail.com. Yazi's going to create a condensed version of the slides, and I can then email the slides out to you. But aside from that, I hope we all can just extend a warm thank you to Yazi for spending her evening with us. And
Of
I'm
course.
super appreciative that we got to do that experiential, exercise or that demo um, together.
Of course.
That was that was pretty profound. So I appreciate it. And yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. It was my pleasure. I'm glad to be here and enjoy your evening. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Night.
Good night.